Hello, everybody. Welcome to all of you. I hope all of you are great today. And let me know if you're ready for this last session, for this last part of the tour. In this case, the course about the Mesoamerican Mathematics, Astronomy, and Geometry. Okay. Let me know if you hear me well, and let me know also where are you connected from today, as we are starting with today's tour, okay, with today's lesson. This lesson will be a 45 minutes class with a few other minutes for questions and answers at the end. Okay, so let me know your comments. Let me know if you have attended the previous tours too, the previous lesson, sorry. And let's wait a couple of minutes for all the attendants, for all the students to arrive, okay? Hello to other friends. Thank you, Christopher in New York, Jack in Pennsylvania, Emily in Oakland. Thank you, Mar. Hello Farida. And our friends in Wisconsin and in UK. Also to Lori in Miami Beach. Jill from Toronto. And thank you for your comments, James. All of you are amazing too. Hello to Victoria, Minnesota, Eunice in UK, and Susan in Stockholm. So, in this last lesson, we are going to study to know other practical things that they did with all the mathematical and astronomical knowledge that we mentioned in last sessions, in the last courses. And I also want to remind you that this project, World Virtual Tours, is funded by your nation. So there you have a couple of links. The first one is in case that you like and you learn in this last session, you can donate. And the second one is for checking the coming tours and also the courses I'll be doing in this platform. During the month of October on Tuesdays. Last Tuesday, we started with the first part of the Maya gods and deities, and we will follow other 3 lessons of that. How I can see last week's program for that I had to miss it, you can check it on World Virtual Tours webpage, Richard, in the Academy section, and also in YouTube, in the World Virtual Tours YouTube channel. Thank you, Joyce. Hello to Donna. And it's good to know that some of you have been in all classes, attended to all classes. So today it will be a bit more clear what we're going to talk about. Okay, hello to our friends Marja again in Estonia. So let's start with today's lesson. My name is Alfredo Olivares. You already know me. I'm a tour guide here in Mexico and based in Mexico City. And I have prepared this tour for you, okay? This lesson for you, this class, and these couple of courses that we are having in World Virtual Tours. What about now? You can hear me well now? Let me know if you can hear me well before starting, because I have some comments about the audio, maybe. Some technical issues, maybe, I don't know. In some cases, we need to restart the call and that's it. Okay, so let's start. Let's start with today's lesson. I will close the chat for you to be more comfortable during this class, and I will open it again for reading your comments, last comments of the course. Also, you will receive a quiz for you to check all what we have studied in this course. And also at the end of the class, I will be reading your questions. Okay, so let's recap a bit. Remember that in the contents of this course, we first mentioned the ethnomathematics as the main branch of knowledge that we are considering. No, we're trying to understand how the ancient cultures acquired, understood, and applied this mathematical knowledge we are speaking about. Also, of course, speaking about the numerical systems. For example, we had a class dedicated to even practice the Maya numbers. Remember that even when we speak about the Maya numbers, because those are the most famous numerical system, it was the same system all over Mesoamerica, and all the different civilizations in this part of the world had in the same at the same time and in different versions, but basically the same numerical system as the Maya. Today we will see how the Aztecs applied these numerical systems. Okay. Also, we studied the astronomy. The astronomy is a topic that is so big. This course and these classes were only an introduction to understand a bit on how they managed all this knowledge, but the astronomy is a topic, and also the geometry, the architecture are topics that could take years of study to totally or fully understand all uh, these disciplines they had, and how they studied all these natural phenomena and applied it in different ways. Also, in geometry and architecture, today we are going to see more about geometry and architecture, more in the decorative patterns that we can see in different places, such as Mitla. But in the last lesson, we also mentioned some phenomena about the orientation of the cities in order to serve as um how to say, what's the word, to serve as to calculate in comparison with the position of the buildings, markers, astronomical markers, to calculate the celestial bodies crossing through the sky. And today we are also going to speak and learn about the economy and finances and other topics too, other things related to the mathematics. This class will be a bit more like a fun fact uh, summary of the knowledge, the Mesoamerican knowledge, also related to mathematics. Okay, so speaking about the archaeoastronomy, the thing that we mentioned last class, remember that we studied that in this region of the world, ancient civilizations understood and utilized astronomical phenomenon in their culture and architecture. Remember that, yeah, they had to measure the movements of the celestial bodies in the sky. That was one of the main reasons for them to develop better the mathematics. So measuring these elements in the sky, they developed this system, but also they consider that to better understand and utilize the knowledge of the universe, the forces of the universe, the energies, all the natural forces, they had to measure, but also they had to worship. Okay, and they had to be in contact, in touch with the energies of the living things, and using these energies also to retrieve back these forces. In this case, we call this worshiping. Okay, so that's why they had, for example, different calendars, the wheel with different wheels, one wheel of 260 days measuring the forces, the natural energies, and other 365 calendar measuring, of course, the the movements of the sun around the earth as they conceived it in the past. We know nowadays that earth uh, make has an orbit around the sun, right? And they also measure other planets and other celestial bodies with other calendars. So they had many calendars, but always the worshipping and all this understanding, all this knowledge, this astronomical knowledge linked to the measuring with the energies and the worshipping. We saw this. astronomical game that happens during the solstices here in Cañada de la Virgen, last class in Guanajuato. But let's consider that all these sacred precincts, the main sacred area of the city, was designed that in a way that the different buildings had a relation with the different celestial bodies during certain parts of the year. But they also developed other interesting games, not only with the perspective and not only with astronomy, but they knew other branches of what they considered, again, energies, and they try to invoke these energies to retrieve back these energies to the universe. But we can consider that these energies that they had, we can also know them today as physics. Okay, so today we're going to explain a bit of physics. Of course, again, we are not trying to be experts or to so deeply understand this phenomenon, but we know that they had the intention of, and at the end they could make these different also games within their cities, within their designs, the layout, with and using the physics. In this case today, we're going to study the acoustics. Okay, these are other shots of cities that were developed with this great knowledge, speaking about the ceremonial centers, the sacred precincts. In many cases, also the city was orientated with the star clusters, as we mentioned, and about the spiritual meaning of this, we are going to speak in the course of October, Tuesdays of October, speaking about the spirituality of the Maya, but that it's more or less the same for all the ancient civilizations, okay? Always astronomy across ritualism, and in this case, we're going to see the physics, the acoustics, also linked to the worshipping and the spirituality. In the last session, we also mentioned at the end Chichen Itza as one of the main examples, because Chichen Itza also it is a hybrid between the Mayan knowledge and the Toltec knowledge. Okay, they of course always had things in common, but at the end, they around the year 1000 they were together again here in Chichen Itza. So it is one of the most impressive cities in the layout using all these phenomenon. For example, the zenith measurement with the pyramids that is known as the castle of the temple of Kukulkan. But also we will find in front of this same stairs of the temple the phenomenon known as the Quetzalcoatl effect. Okay, speaking about archaeoacoustics. Okay, it is the study in archaeology about how the different sounds and the different echoes, for example, and the the cameras and the plazas served also for these acoustic effects that we are going to discuss. Okay, this is the quetzal. It is a beautiful bird that is not natural from the northern part of the peninsula of Yucatan, but closer to Central America. Even in Guatemala is one of the symbols as a country right now. I mean, currently, nowadays. And the thing is that remember that also the ancient civilizations had a worship and symbols associated with animals. Every animal or many different animals represented also different forces of the nature and different spiritual meaning. So they, during the ceremonials in these plazas, in these squares they designed, they created this acoustic game too, to for whenever they could hear the sound of the bird, in this case the quetzal. Okay, the thing is that when you clap or you use different musical instruments, you will receive an echo that will cause different phenomenon, and you will hear, in many cases, in this case with the clap, for example, the sounds of the birds. Okay, I have selected a video for you to hear this phenomenon. Okay, so I will play the video. Maybe this, if it's not so clear, maybe I can share this video at the end for you to better witness how this works. Okay, so here we have a tour guide standing in front with a group of people standing in front of the stairs of the temple of Kukulkan. And whenever you want, if you clap, you will hear the echo and you will hear the sounds of this bird, the sound of the quetzal. Pay attention, please. We hear the clap, but try to hear the echo. Okay, the echo will sound like it's a quacky sound. Okay, like this bird. So it's 2 times the clap, and immediately you hear the echo again. Okay, let me know later in the comments. I will play it once again, and let me know later if you could hear it or you want the video. Okay, so we could think that this is just a coincidence, but the thing is that this was created and also existed in other, not only Maya and Toltec, but in many other cities. Even there in Cañada de la Virgen, the archaeological sites that we spoke most about last class, that's one other place. Okay, so this phenomenon, speaking about mathematics or physics or acoustics, it is known as the acoustic sweeping, and it is popularly known as the quetzal tail effect when we are speaking about the archaeological sites. So when a person claps on the steps, it creates this echo named the quetzal's tail effect. Okay, the explanation of this is based on one acoustics phenomenon. Let me know at the end if you know or have previous knowledge about physics or acoustics. It is called the Bragg diffraction, where the clapping waves interact with the staircase's structure. The structure where the echo happens needs to be layered, have different layers, also be constructed with a special material that works as crystals, and the echo occurs due to the constructive interference of specific frequencies. Okay, as I have studied, the waves of the original sound will rebound with the waves of the echo and will have a coincidence in different points of the wave. Okay, that's called the Bragg diffraction. That works with acoustic waves and also with X-ray. So this Quetzal tail effects not only works with claps, but the archaeologists, the researchers have tried with different echoes, like for example, the voice or musical instruments. And yeah, they have found that in these places, all these rebound of sounds caused an effect of make the sound to multiply the sound, okay, and make it more loud, more clear, or with different patterns of sounds in many cases. Okay, speaking about these other effects, also the Totonac domain with the pyramid of Tahin that we mentioned in previous lessons had not the same effect, but when you make certain noises within the four structures, the main structures of the plaza, in the back of the buildings, in the back of this Pirámide de los Nichos, the Pyramid of the Niches, in the back and between the pyramid and the mountain, you will hear the sound of the storm. You will hear the biggest storm happening. Okay, actually, Tajín is known as the city of the storm, the thunder. I mean, also in the Totonac pyramids, the Totonac archaeological sites, we can find these very beautiful geometric patterns, this fretwork, and at the end of this class, we will explain how they designed this. All other places where you can witness and actually play with these acoustics, it is in Teotihuacan. When you visit Mexico City, it is about 50 kilometers northeast, and you can clap in front of some of these structures and you will hear the sounds of the quetzal. Okay, just to consider other knowledge related to mathematics at the end, it is the musical instruments. Here we have only some samples of the pre-Columbian musical instruments: flutes, drums. The flutes were the most popular and had many different shapes. And all of these also played within these plazas. This is musical instruments made with water, okay? When the water passes through these two vases, it will make a whistling sounds. They crafted all these instruments, but of course the most popular, and according to the experts, the instruments that sounded the better and with more special effect, the most special effect was the seashell. With all these, within all these plazas, the sounds of the seashell would be very special and so loud that maybe they could call the population to the squares playing these instruments. Okay, so let's speak about other facts related to mathematics in the ancient world, and finally we're arriving to this city, Tenochtitlan. Maybe you have heard about this city, maybe you know, or maybe don't. This is the current Mexico City. Okay, this is the capital of the country nowadays. But of course, all this ancient Aztec city or Mexica city was destroyed. The original name was Mexico Tenochtitlan, and it was destroyed after 1521 with the conquest of the Spaniards, the arrival of Hernan Cortes with his army, and even other indigenous populations that wanted the Aztecs to finish their domain. And speaking also about mathematics, we will understand why they wanted and why they were enemies of the Aztecs and they supported the Spaniards during the conquest of Tenochtitlan. Tenochtitlan was built on an island. Most of these lakes around the city, around the islands, don't exist no more today. Only a few canals at the south that are a tourist place, and small lakes to the north. But most of this area that we see is currently covered by Mexico City. Okay, the main city, Tenochtitlan, the main island, was connected through causeways with their allies or subdued peoples around, and even kilometers and kilometers away from Tenochtitlan. The Aztecs at the end, after 1427, they started the expansion and they conquered all these lands. During all these years to 1521, when the city of Tenochtitlan fell against the Spaniards. The Aztecs arrived to these lands in the 14th century. And let's consider that they wanted to imitate all these ancient big cities like Tula or Teotihuacan, but also they had their own gods and their own beliefs. And In contrast with these other civilizations, they were more focused on being warriors and yeah, that subdue the other peoples. This is the Aztec society, okay? The model of the Aztec society. Their government was a theocracy with a supreme ruler chosen by a council. The political organization was led by the Tlatoani, a kind of hereditary monarchy. Also, let's consider that socially they were divided in 20 different clans, each clans with different lands, leaders, and different charges. Why we are speaking about this? What does this have to do with mathematics? It's basically because we are speaking about terrains. We'll speak also about trading and about taxes. Okay, all these three things is that we're going to explain now. Let's consider that the Aztec trades primarily relies on barter, but this led to the development of their own metric system, complete with regulators to ensure transactions follow trade laws and products, and also weights and measures for all the products they had to trade or to give as taxes. So let me explain a bit more about this system. Let's remember the Maya numbers that we mentioned in the first class. It is based on points and lines and the zero with the seashell. Well, the Aztecs will follow the same system. Let's consider that the Mayas created this system around the year zero of our time, or even before, maybe the Olmecs even in the 1000th BC, and the Aztecs arrived to these lands in the 14th century. So at least 14 or 15 or more centuries before, after the creation of this system. Very important to remember that this was a positional system, so it also depended on the vertical of the writing of the numbers. Okay, speaking about the Maya, but let's see how the Aztecs use this. Okay, the Aztecs, we can see that utilize these numbers. Also, they created fractions and an anthropometric system to divide the lands. Okay, the Aztecs were very they considered that very important to measure all the lands for the different clans and also for the new lands they conquered. So they created this system, and we will see different symbols. They use lines in this case for the measuring of the different lengths here. In this case, the dots will be the number 20, but always it depends about the position. In this case, they could measure and they could write in a horizontal system. We see 5 heads. That means they are using the anthropometrical system. Remember that in previous lessons we mentioned that they use different parts of the body for measuring the lengths. So it's the same that we are watching here. Also, we see other symbols over here that I will explain now. So we see the numbers, the fractions, like the dots in this case for the lands, it is the number 20, and other lines for the units and groups of 5 in this case. 5 watts or 20 watts, we have the measure of the foot here, okay? Of course, it's not the same European foot, but we can consider that they had their own system. So measuring in foot, 20, in this case, we have 20, 20 times, it would be the number 80, plus 15 would be 95, plus 1, 96. 96 foot of length in this line over here, for example, okay? All these codices that we are seeing here were created during the colonial times, okay? Remember that the Spaniards, when they arrived and they conquered, they destroyed all the previous documents of the Aztecs and many other civilizations. But the friars asked them to write again these documents and to use the same system they had to understand the new rules they needed to follow, the new rules from coming from Spain and in the colony in the new Spain, the Nueva España. Okay, these are other measures. They had elbow, uh, they had the shoulder, they had the heart, the arrow, the foot, for measuring different elements, especially in the lengths and especially speaking about the lengths. We see again here, for example, the system used for measuring, in this case, the number 37 and the unities they were considering, okay? Like in this case, the heart, the arrow, or the hands for these different measures. For counting, not only for measuring the length, but for counting, they again use the Maya system, but creating their own symbols. The number one, yeah, could be a dot, but also can be a finger or this round thing that looks like a donut, okay? Again, the number four, it's 4 points together, and the number 10, it's two groups of five. Can be with the line, can be with 5 dots, but tied in this case. For the number 20, again, they could use the position, the vertical position, but when it was horizontal or just as a mark of 20, remember all this is based on the powers of 20, all these positions and all these multiplications, instead of using 10 like us, they use the number 20 as their base. We have the number 20, we have the number 80 represented with 4 different flags. The number 400 was a feather, birds, okay? For example, if they needed to count 44 blankets, it is the number 40 and 4 fingers that are the units, the number 1. And for the 8,000, they used this bag, okay? It's a sacred bag. We know it's sacred because it has a cross. It's, of course, not the Christian cross, but it is speaking about the 4. It's a representation of the universe. Remember the 4 points of the universe. Again, the astronomy represented in their symbols, okay? So in this case, we have 44 blankets. Why blankets? Why they are counting blankets, okay? Remember that the Aztecs were conquistadors. The Aztecs subdued and ruled on many other peoples around, on many other civilizations around, and they had the control of them. So they asked them for taxes, paying taxes. They needed to pay tribute, of course, to the Aztecs. So the Aztecs had full documents for all the subdued people to understand what they needed to give to them as a tax. So in this case, we have, for example, the feather symbol on a blanket, different types of blankets. So the Aztecs were asking for 400 blankets like this, 400 blankets like this, and 400 blankets like this. No, of course, having such a big empire, let's say, they had the chance to ask for different products according to the region. Okay, and these other sides, they are asking for different groups of feathers, blue feathers, red, green, etc. 400, of course, being also about different birds, 400 of each group of feathers, okay? Again, we see the Latin writing because, again, these documents were made during the colonial times for the Spaniards to understand the system of the Aztecs and also for the Spaniards to ask taxes for the new conquered people. We see a sample of that in a few moments. What are taxes? They are asking here, for example, for 80 birds like this, 20 jaguar skin, 100 bags of cocoa, 400 pottery items, and we see all the items around. In this case, they are asking for wheat, I mean, different types of herbs, 8,000 units of those. So we see all this tax system of the Aztecs represented in these old codices. Let's see other examples. Also in the vertical system, it was easier to, sorry, in the horizontal system, it was easy to make these calculations for specific numbers. And there are other examples, bags, blankets, asking for, in this case, 402 of these. Again, the same symbols that we mentioned. This is, for example, asking for 10 masks or precious stones. The symbols, the bags of cocoa, the bags of cotton. And these are the ones that the Spaniards wrote with the help of the Aztecs to ask taxes for the conquered people, okay? So, as in the first years, the first decades of conquest and colonization, the other people didn't speak the Spanish, they needed to ask, in this case, blankets again, for example, with these figures or different resources, but with the same system that the people used. Okay, so let's consider that they had this vertical positioning system used in many cases, especially in their documents. So they develop grids. Okay, so developing the grids, they could make also more complex calculations, but they also could make different, more complex numerical expressions like dates. We have here this stone, this stela found in Monte Alban in the Zapotec region, South Pacific, the Oaxaca state nowadays. And these grids are used even nowadays. The system is revisited in some schools, especially in the Mayan area. Okay, the system that they developed. But they also used all these vertical and all these grids to design decorations, 2D and 3D elements of decoration for and expressing geometrical figures, like these ones in Mitla, in Oaxaca, these ones used or created in Uxmal, in the Maya Puc area, in Yucatan. So with the grids, they could develop also figures, lines, and geometrical figures that had also sacred meanings. Again, the original, it is as they looked in Uxmal, okay? Let's focus on these ones, on the ones that we have in Mitla, in Oaxaca, and let's explain a bit more of the geometry and also the sacred meaning of this geometry. So let's consider that This specific framework that, let me call it in Spanish as Greca, is this intricate geometric patterns, and serve as a profound representation of their cosmological beliefs too. So by delving in the matrix, in the grids, this geometrical, the grids that we mentioned employed in the creation of these figures, in this case created by the people, the Mixtec people. The Mixtec people is and was located in these lands, the South Pacific lands too. Also, currently, most of this part is the Mexican state of Oaxaca. So, with this art, we uncover a symbolic universe deeply rooted in numerical and geometrical principles. Unlike our modern understanding of mathematics and geometry, the ancient cultures saw numbers and shapes as symbols of transcendental realities and metaphysical truths. So again, it's taking the information we have, taking the natural elements, the natural science in this case, and understand that they had a meaning, and they can use this meaning to retrieve back the universe, the energy of this creation, this creativity. So all these intricate designs, like the Grecas found in Mitla, it's not only artistic expression, but gateways into the cosmic order. They had this deep understanding of the numbers too, and they knew they had some meaning in all the reality we are living. So this sacred symbolism permeates every aspect, not only of the culture of Mitla and the Mixtec people, but for most of the ancient civilization, from the calendars to their understanding of the celestial bodies. The number 400, it is really present in these Grecas here. For instance, symbolized the innumerable, and their intricate grids represented the very fabric of the universe. Okay, so this is a representation of the original energy of the universe from where we are created. These grids weren't just mathematical tools then, they were profound expression of the harmony and beauty embedded in their cosmogony. Through their art and symbolism, these ancient Mesoamericans captured the essence of the sacred, showcasing a profound understanding of the interconnected between the material and the metaphysical realms. So the geometric symbol of the Greca, that it's proportion, it's always made in a proportion of 5/9. It has two other different interpretations. It can be, the representation of the natural elements like the wave, the seashell, the water, the clouds, etc. But let's also consider that we have two main elements in this work. We have the spiral joined by a column to a staircase, to stairs. The spiral represents the celestial worlds, the subtle, imperceptible, and divine matter that could be identified with the tonali, with the original force of creation, as they understood it, the breath of life, according to their mythology, and in many cases, Hecatl, the wind, the ether, and also related to Quetzalcoatl, is represented with the spiral. But not only the spiral, but the ladder. The ladder is represented in the codices as the jaws of the earth monster. It is the entrance to the underworld, the other realm of existence, and in the cosmogony represents the directions also of up and down. Okay, so the spiral and the ladder going down to the underworld. Okay, this is just a very, very superficial description of these Grecas, because if we study more and more about these patterns, we will find that it is actually a fractal pattern that in the spiritual meaning, it is also related to many things that we have mentioned in other times. Big time, it is the combination of the opposites, the forces of day and night, the upper and the underworld, etc., etc. Okay, so with this last photos of Mitla, let me take you to the last part of today's class. Because of course, with all this knowledge about geometry, forces, etc., all the Greeks, they could develop such beautiful decorations and meaningful decorations as these ones. But also, we can speak about engineering, okay, civil engineering, and this will be the last part of the course with a quick mention of the civil engineering of, in this case, coming back to the Aztecs in Mexico City. Remember, Mexico City used to be a lake, but to be more precise, a large group of 5 lakes. So these 5 lakes had different levels. So the water, in many cases, could surpass their limits on one part of the lake and would flood the other part of the lake. So the city of Tenochtitlan had many problems with these floodings. As a solution of that, there was a very important engineer for the Aztecs that created this barrier we see over here. This is known as the Dam of Nezahualcóyotl. Nezahualcóyotl was the one that created this system to avoid all these problems with the different levels of the water within the lake. Nezahualcóyotl, this man that I am speaking about, he was the king of Texcoco. Texcoco was part of the main alliance of the Aztecs. The Aztecs had a triple alliance: Tenochtitlan, the main islands, Tlacopan to the west, and Texcoco to the east, in the eastern northeast shore of the lake. These are some of the few remains we have of the great city of Texcoco. But for many of the people that have studied, the archaeologists and the historians, Texcoco was, of course, this is just an artistic recreation of Texcoco, but for many of them, that was the Athens of this part of the world. So all the culture, all the deep thinking and the creation, speaking about the Aztec civilization, was located in Texcoco, and mainly in the figure of Nezahualcóyotl. Nezahualcóyotl was the king. This same engineer that I am speaking about, he was also the king and main priest, Huey Tlatoani, of great speaker, that means Huey Tlatoani, of Texcoco. Okay, guys, so to have the closure of this course with this last part of the 4th lesson, and also regarding the mathematics, because this guy was an engineer too, he also was a poet. Okay, so we have a poetry here in the Nahuatl language and in the Spanish, but I will read this poetry for you in English, and also it is speaking about the number of the nature of the number 400. Okay, the nature of the number 400, that for the ancients it was other sacred number that represented the space where we live and all the possibilities of energy in the space, and creation of material things, of course, that we have in our universe. Okay, so the poster says, I love the song of the mockingbird, bird of the 400 voices. I love the color of jade and the enervating perfume of flowers. but most of all, I love my brother, the man. Okay, so the man, sorry. So with this last, and also Nezahualcóyotl will appear in the currency of Mexico, in the 100 pesos bill. So with this, we have the closure of this course. I hope you have enjoyed. I hope you have learned much, and that it was very relatable to you. Okay, so thank you, and I will open the chat for your last comments of the course, and also for reading your questions and reading your answers. Okay, you will receive by email your quiz for checking if you have had and if you have all the information set, speaking about. Okay. So I will let me just share the video with you for you to hear the phenomenon that it's known as the Quetzal, the tale of Quetzal. Okay, so that's the link, and so also if you look for it in YouTube as the Quetzal tail effect or clapping in front of Chichen Itza pyramids, you will be able to hear and to see many other examples of this. Sorry for the fail with that video. What did they use to build the dam? Mainly stone and clay. That was the main things, and mortar, a mix of different sands and uh, clay for being resistant, as many as their constructions. I always learn so much from you. Thank you, Helene. Thank you. Now you have the link for the video, guys. There it is. Okay. Excellent for parkour spread. I have learned much. Thank you, Mocha Joe, and thank you, Joyce. I can understand a very complex system. Yeah, I mean, again, and I repeated this many times, but just one more, because it is just an introduction. Okay, all this knowledge is so complex and so rich that, I mean, it's more than 5,000 years of knowledge. So we need time to better understand all this that they wanted to express, and how they manage all this knowledge. Okay. What else, guys? Let me just take some notes here. Thank you for the interesting lessons. Thank you. As you said, your lecture was brilliant. Thank you. It helped me a lot to understand how people of that sort of thing. I also help us understand what things are brought forward in our civilization. Yeah, and that the knowledge, the school system we have, that's something that I have thought studying all these during years. No, that our schools maybe don't consider other things, other hidden things that's or not explain all these hidden things that we can reach with the mathematical knowledge. For example, how do you drain the lake to build Mexico City? They just the Aztecs began with some artificial islands covering the waters of the lake with chinampas, these artificial islands, but also the Spaniards, after that, they turned the water to other areas for having more space for the city. This has been a very informative, interesting presentation. Thank you, Amanda. Thank you, Jonas. Thank you, Farida. Thank you so much for this wonderful course. I've always been fascinated by this culture. It's been a great opportunity to hear you speak and learn more about it. Thank you. Thank you, Deborah. Thank you, Maureen. What degrees did you obtain to teach this subject? Very complicated. I mean, mostly when we are tour guides, we need to have a diploma, and to preserve that title, we need to take many different courses during the year. Actually, okay. So with that, and with very good teachers, I am, I hope, able to explain some of these things. I'm interested because my company was translated various Mayan languages, which are still being used in the USA. Okay, okay, yeah, I wonder, I wonder. I don't know if maybe because of the migration, yeah, people from, for example, southern Mexico or Guatemala to the US. I guess, right? Remember this project, guys, were virtual tours, and these courses are possible thanks to your donations. So, in the first link, if you have liked, enjoyed, and learned much with the course, you can donate, you can tip in the first link. In the second link, it is for checking the time for the next sessions, in this case of the other course I am giving in this platform, the course about the Maya spirituality, the Maya gods, the mythology, the deities, etc. Muchísimas gracias. Thank you, Marja, to better understand the Maya civilization and many other civilizations, right? Also that follow the same system. Okay, okay, okay. Different variations of Maya, right, Deborah? Thank you, Donna. And yeah, so much to learn. There are lots, plenty of videos, books in YouTube and in other platforms. And of course, always having a more deep course. It is amazing about these things. Thank you, Fredo. Thank you, Mar. Thank you so much. And see you soon. And see you. I hope to see you, all of you soon, guys. And thank you for attending this tour. Thank you for attending this course with 4 sessions. Okay, see you the next Tuesday for the second lesson of the Maya gods and deities course. And goodbye, guys. Have a beautiful weekend. See you soon.